All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Prepper Trifecta. Although I think it's just going to be the two of us tonight. We may have Dean show up, may have JJ show up. We'll see. But for right now, you got me and Shay from Prepper Logic. Thanks for coming back. Sorry we missed you guys last week. But we got all sorts of weird stuff we can talk about in the news. Coronavirus, more shootings. It's crazy out there.
Madness.
And as you can see, Shay has the proof of life in the background of the rabbit.
I guess I don't know if it's proof of life necessarily. It's something though. I guess I got to move out of the way. I forgot why I took the photo. I was telling Eric, for the other people that are watching, I was trying to change to landscape mode. I don't know how to do it on my phone. And there's just a button that said, "Oh, you want to choose a background?" Okay, well, why not? Maybe I'll do this moving forward.
Yeah, right. Let's have all sorts of dramatic backgrounds, zombie riots and stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Or peaceful mountain scenes or whatever you want, depending on the mood.
Right, or some BLM protesters.
Yeah, peaceful protests been fired behind you.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. I found there's been really sort of diverse reaction with Trump. Mm-hmm. And going in, getting infected and coming out and recovering quickly and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess
so people don't even think it's real.
Yeah, that whole saga's pretty much unfolded since the last time we did a live stream, since I missed the last one. So in the past 2 weeks, we had the whole thing between him getting infected and then basically recovering all within the past week or whatever, which made people extra salty to the point that now they're, like you said, they're trying to say that maybe he is faking it or something like that. And then you have people on the other side saying that, oh, a lot of Republicans tested positive. Maybe they dosed everybody at the debate or something like that, like infected the microphone or something.
Right.
So who knows? But I definitely think overall it helps him to get infected for a variety of reasons. Politically, it helps him, especially when he gets through it with relative ease. He gets to be more of an authority on it, so to speak. Also, it's, you get a little bit of a sympathy vote, maybe like, oh, they've been through this thing.
Maybe that's a strategy. Did you catch the debate?
I did, yeah.
I think it was Pence and
Harris. Yeah, I watched the first probably 2/3 of it, and it went pretty much exactly like I thought. Where Pence is just too unflappable, and just he's really got a really smooth way of operating. It's not going to get ruffled or anything like that. And on the other hand, what's that?
Oh, it was amazing. The confidence level, the whole the moderator saying stop, and he's just rolling like a freight train with this.
But in like a classy way compared to how Trump is just like comes at you, which I like too. But he has a lot more decorum, but still has that.
I liked his confidence level, and I liked how he had the guy was the goddamn Terminator. He was a machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Even with his facial expressions, everything about him, and responding to Harris too. He says, "Well, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. That's just not right." Blah 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 blah. He said this. So I think mansplaining is the term that comes.
Yeah, I mean that's what's funny is because they already are saying that. It's so stupid to me that they use excuses like that. Like here you have a woman who's supposed to be vice president, probably would end up being president if Biden got actually elected because he's so frail. And you're going to complain about like the way another politician talks to you or condescends you. And you're supposed to deal with people like Putin and these Chinese presidents and all this stuff. And you're going to be cried, oh, this mean old man talked to me, mansplained me. Like there's not going to be confidence that you would be a great leader, if that's the thing that throw you off your game.
Right. If you're so bent over that, then what kind of leader you're going to be? What I didn't like about Harris, just from the out of the gate, from the get-go, was this push for I'm the first female this, and I was the first female blah blah blah,
like
or Black American. Like why share that? Who cares?
Yeah, it shows that that's all they've got going for them, and she just came across as incredibly unlikable, which everyone already knew, and just obviously he had her practically like cheerleading fracking, which was hilarious because they've been all over the place on these issues. So just caught him in like open lies. So she doesn't really have much. The fact that they were focusing so much on the fly that landed on Pence's head during the debate afterwards shows you how much of a beatdown it was because they didn't want to deal with anything about what actually went on in the debate. So
agreed.
it's definitely interesting. Yeah, and then some people thought he was infected with coronavirus because I guess his eye looked red during which I didn't really catch it.
Something off. It was almost when he wasn't looking at the camera. When he was looking over here, his one eye.
Yeah, see right in the corner of his eye.
Yeah, or something.
Could have been anything. He's an older guy too. Could be some small hemorrhaging type of thing or something.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a great debate. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Che. This is Prepper Logic. You're on the Lord Humongous channel. Obviously, Eric. And we are 2 of 3 strong with the Prepper Trifecta.
Yeah.
And do you want to go through some? I made a video on
Saturday.
Saturday.
I haven't watched your video. So I didn't get to make my own. I've had a really busy week, but I did some part of planning some of the things that I was going to put in the video. So the general topic was 5 things to do if you know you're going to or expect to be infected with the coronavirus, right? Something along those lines?
It was a little abstract. I referenced your email. Right. I'm going to say it here again. It says, hey, I think the topic was things to do if you expect to get corona or something along those lines. So yeah, we're basically on the same page.
Right. And I kind of my stance on it is that we all are going to be or have already been exposed at a level that could get you infected. So it's something that we should all be doing. I think for most people, you'll end up not knowing you had it, or you might already be immune to it because they figured out that it's so similar to other types of cold viruses that some people may actually have immunity already just because of fighting off other similar viruses. And then it just spreads so easily otherwise that most of us are going to be exposed to it or get it. So I think everyone should prepare for that. I think I'll be a little vague. I don't know how many items you would count this as, but certainly different types of supplements and vitamins. I think vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc are all supposed to have a good chance at really boosting your immune system and making you able to fight it. I've also heard the elderberry syrup, which I mentioned in videos right at the start of the pandemic, is supposed to be really good. So that would be one, have your supplement and not even wait, start taking that stuff now, with the exception of the elderberry syrup. That's for taking when you actually start to get sick, but you might as well start taking the vitamin D, vitamin C, and some zinc already. That's just for general health, and if it helps you from not even getting it. I would also then have the ability set up for you to not have to leave your place if you need to for 12 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is, be able to self-quarantine, because you don't want to get it and then still have to run out to the store and stuff like that, potentially infect other people. I don't know how many other things I actually came up with, but basically that's it. Be able to deal with the physical aspects of getting it, and then also be able to deal with the quarantine aspect of it. So being able to not leave your house.
In my top 5.
Yeah.
I talked a bit more if you're talking about not going away for 12 days. To elaborate on that, which was another point I had, was get your finances in order. Just have cash on hand. And if you're broke, like some preppers are, then you have some possessions, sell some things. Get rid of
because a lot of jobs will make you go home, and not all of them will necessarily be compensating you in some way, or even if they have, because I know there's some federal funding for reimbursing people who have to leave work because of COVID and stuff like that, but who knows when you're going to get that, depending on your state or your employer. So yeah, having some money set aside to be able to weather it, probably week to 2 week period, maybe even have to pay for the test yourself if you want to get it expedited, different things like that, probably important.
I talked briefly in my video. I think I've got a buddy that's he's a biker guy. He's kind of he's a cool dude. He's kind of like pimpish. He's kind of like a pimp. He's got multiple girlfriends. They all know. They all accept it. And they're like, okay, we'll bang.
Polyamorous relationship.
Yeah, he's a super cool dude. It's one place where I've got some preps, some stuff, and I think he caught it last week, the coronavirus, because he's very he's always hugging.
Yeah,
his girls, and he's one of these guys that come in, bro, give me a hug.
Right, just touching everybody and everything.
Yeah, just like in general. And I don't think he's not a prepper. Didn't take it seriously. So I think he caught it. So that's very close to home for me in terms of connections or levels between people getting it. And yeah, he was out Sunday to Monday to Tuesday, out for 3 days. He got the test done because the big swab. Which I've never heard anything pleasant about.
Yeah, I've heard it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, so so we'll find out the next couple of days if he's going to get a call back and find out if he got it or not. But
he doesn't know for sure.
Got the test done. You got to wait 5 to 9 business days, or 5 to 9 days, or something like that. So
yeah.
So we will see. How about yourself? Are you anybody closer to you getting?
I've had one person, or actually two people at my work that ended up getting it and had to stay home. But other than that, that's the closest. Didn't end up being a big deal. They were relatively young.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, that's close. But I mean, like, yeah, so interesting. But yeah, that was it.
Did you hear about the shooting in Denver?
Yeah, that's been all over the news the past couple of days. And this just goes back to what I'm saying. Like, I just really don't think there's any reason for people to be going to these protests and these rallies, unless it's a really super, super important reason. And then if you do go, you should be expecting that you're probably going to get shot at or something like that. So have a bulletproof vest, you know what I mean? Like, if you're just out there to be like, woo, woo, hold a flag, like you're literally putting your life in danger at this point. So you better have a damn good reason for going there.
People don't care, though. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, you're in some respects a lot like me in that introverted in the sense that, don't really have patience or time for most people.
Right.
And the majority of people going to these sorts of things are, they're reacting or they're motivated by feelings as opposed to anything rational. And it's not going to stop them. You and me can lecture or have epidemiologists on TV say, look, you got to stay home or you should. People are just stupid. They don't care. And adding to the pandemic is creating a level of anxiety and uncertainty and stress amongst people that's, I don't know, justifying, making people angry and stupider people even that much more angry,
right?
To outlash and taking more risks with their behavior because they're all cooped up, so to speak.
Yeah, and another thing to learn from that encounter was that the guy, from the pictures and videos and stuff that I've seen, the guy who was the killer, the shooter, was not. I mean, he had like a quick draw, one shot on target, hit the guy in the head, was holding his gun right and everything. Like, not all of the people on the wrong side are these like noodle-armed, soy-fed,
right.
pushovers. There's at least some of them that do know how to use their weapons and stuff too. So,
did you see the photo?
Yeah, I saw many photos.
There was one like there was a bunch of what do you have? Some pepper spray.
Pepper spray, and and he's shooting.
Yeah, that photo. I mean, talk about capturing a moment, seconds before the guy got. I was taken aback by that one.
Right.
Let's see here, ladies and gentlemen. Questions in all caps, please. I don't. It's funny. We say that every week. And 80% of the people are just ignoring us and just having these conversations in the chat room. Just go about the weekly chat.
Yeah, he had, as John Bibb says, he had what appeared to be like a competition style red dot, like open sight on the gun too.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. And Eva Blonde says she's sick but no fever, might be a sinus infection. Yeah, that's another thing that complicates obviously this pandemic stuff is all the other things that you could get sick from are still out there. All the normal colds, the flus, the food poisoning. So, and that you have to get tested every time even the fevers, like all that stuff's still out there. So you can get.
Yep. And I don't know about Las Vegas, but we're starting to see Quebec, for whatever reason, has got the cases are still massive. And we're starting to see sort of reverting back to the previous stages of lockdown. So I don't know how people are going to react, but Thanksgiving here this weekend, for Americans that don't know, we celebrated this weekend, our Thanksgiving. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be interacting. It'll be interesting to see what the kind of numbers we see in about 2 weeks' time, because there's a lot of people that they don't care. It's a time where I'm sure it's similar to the Americans, like you guys, where all your family comes together and sits around a table.
Right.
And eats turkey and pumpkin pie. I'm having some pumpkin pie later. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's interesting. So you guys are actually going slightly backwards on the like lockdowns and opening stuff up and starting to reclose things.
Yeah. So as an example, restaurants that were offering dining, limited dining inside, it's now takeout only.
Interesting.
Things like that.
We've been pretty consistently opening more and more. Nothing has really gone back yet, at least here in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, so it's been slowly but consistently getting less and less restrictions. So we have
sort of like we've talked about this before, but in some respects it must be like a ghost town there. You've got these huge these hotels and, you know, everywhere, and like 80% of your population is dependent on.
It was for a while. It recently, now it's actually is getting a lot of traffic. They had for a while they lowered prices, like as soon as it was opened again to where people could come at all. They lowered prices on a bunch of stuff, and they really got like a kind of a rough crowd in there. There was like a couple shootings and everything, and all the people I know that work in hospitality saying that like the tips all went to shit and the clientele was just horrible, just trashy people and stuff. So a lot of the casinos and stuff went back up to more normal pricing. Said it's just not worth it. But I was just out on the strip for a buddy's birthday, and it was pretty busy. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like busy, but if it was just I wouldn't have noticed, you know, if I was transported to that time frame that anything too weird was going on, except for the masks.
Yeah.
You know? But there's definitely people coming back. Thanks, Brian, for the super chat. I appreciate the continued support, man.
Mark Olson, who is ready with number months at home? Who is at, I'm not too sure I understand the question.
Oh, he said who has at least 3 months or 6 months, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, like I've always said, my main goal is to have 6 months for at least 2 people, 6 months worth of completely, you know, no resupply. So I'm there in most things.
I think people that are getting into this, I mean, like a month is a good place to start.
Yeah.
One area that I see some people fail, or I wouldn't say fails, neglect, is the food aspect with respect to something like a freeze-dried bucket of food. I mean, that sort of stuff's good. You know, they often label, oh, you know, 120 meals. But if you break it down and look at the, you know, how much protein am I getting from that beef stroganoff? I mean, you'll find, I think it was one company, it was like 10 grams or 16 grams. It was very, very low.
Right.
So,
and also a lot of those companies, even like the disaster preparedness companies, kind of play games with like the day's worth of food or the serving size where it's exceptionally small. You know, like they might say like 30-day supply at 800 calories a day or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's not really enough for 30 days for one person.
Exactly.
So pay attention to the actual nutrient content of the food and how many calories it is. Because something like a can of soup might seem like a lot, but a lot of them, if you look at them, have anywhere from 150 to 300 calories. So that's not a lot, you know what I mean? That's not even a lot for one meal, let alone for, you know, a day or something. So I remember in this, I did one of the movies that I did on my channel where I watched the movie and talk about like survival and prepping lessons can be learned from it. It was a zombie movie called Cargo. And in the fairly early on in the movie, it was a Australian or British movie. It takes place in Australia, I believe.
Hold on, is this Pattinson and
No, that was something else. This was the guy from The Hobbit and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a zombie one, not a. I know which one you're talking about. I don't think I've seen that one. But this was, I think there's a Netflix original. But they find this like boat on the river that has like an ice chest in it with some canned goods in it, like just a little ice chest. And he opens up. He's like, "This has to have at least 3 months worth of food in here." And I'm like, 3 months? There's like maybe 20 cans. I'm like, you'd be lucky if that was 3 days for 2 people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this is wildly skewed. Like you'd have a full closet of canned goods for the most part for 3 months. You know, so like, that was hilarious. Because I know I've mentioned this before, but a lot of the highest calorie canned goods I can find usually are between like 500 and 800 calories per can. Like the chilies, maybe a can of Spam, I think is like 900 calories. That's about as high as you can get in a canned good without it being a larger can or something that's just like pure ghee or butter or something, you know, something weird. But so even if you're talking, let's say 500 calories a can, that's still at least 3 cans a day for a meager 1,500 calories.
Yeah, and you're not doing anything at that. You're just
right. You need like 2,000 probably, but
yeah.
So that's 4 cans a day, let's say.
You don't want to expel any energy at 1,500.
Right. And a lot of cans, like a can of green beans, has like 75 calories in it or something. You know, it's just nothing. It's mostly just fiber. Yeah. So yeah, you have to have quite a few. So
it's
definitely
funny.
Keep that in mind when you're building up your stocks.
And diversify. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be all canned goods or freeze dried or dehydrated or pressure. You know, specific area. I've got
Yeah, like Evil Blonde and Mark Olson said, the potted meat and the sardines. Yeah, a lot of the calories from the sardines and stuff comes from the oil that they put them in there too, which is fine as long as it's olive oil. I don't like vegetable oils, but yeah, I have canned. Those aren't particularly cheap, but canned meats are one of the cheaper ways to get meat into your preps. Freeze dried is really expensive, and freezing isn't expensive necessarily, but it relies on you having continuous power and space. So I have a lot of Spam and some other tuna and some of the canned like sardines and stuff like that too. So.
Yep, tuna is good. I got a lot of beef. I've been focusing, I don't know, for whatever reason, just protein. So I go right to a butcher, 30 pounds at a time, and I pressure can all of it. That's ironically awesome, just messaged him the other day, and it's $5 a pound. So
yeah, that's pretty solid.
It's a good price. Bill P, has she heard anything about the Chinese troops in Canada at the U.S. border? No, sir, I have not.
I have not heard about that.
I have not heard about Chinese troops at the Canada-U.S. border. What the hell? How are they going to survive that battle?
No, I haven't heard that.
You know, there's a lot of Canadians that don't like Trump, and Trump doesn't like our prime minister. But if it came down to it, and there were a bunch of fucking inserts, whatever country of troops at our border, we're going to team up. We're going to fuck them up.
Yeah, of course.
If it's
that wouldn't even be like they're not just going to drop off a couple troops there, and yeah, for what purpose? I mean, it would have to be. I'm assuming they're talking about doing something in cahoots with the Canadian government, not that they're just like invading, because that would make zero sense.
Don't know, mind you. This is probably an older statistic, but I read this years ago. The most amount of spies we found in 1 year wasn't from China or Russia or any other country. It was actually from the U.S. into Canada. So. And
Israel does a lot of spying and stuff too, I know.
Is there? Okay. Well, I guess my point is, we're friendly. At least Canadians and U.S. We're friendly, but
still want to know what everybody's up to. Yeah.
Yeah, like the U.S. government has plans they have a plan to invade Canada if it ever
necessary. Right.
Yeah.
Here's someone said, Mark says, most of the calories in MREs comes from the side stuff, the PB, the jelly, the cheese spreads. Yeah, you really do have to eat the entire thing if you want to get the calories from them. MREs are fantastic for prepping. They're just expensive and take a lot of space, but they're really good. What's that?
You enjoy them, really?
I've never had a problem with them. I've eaten a lot in the Army, and they're like TV dinner style food. The one that was really bad, it was like notoriously bad, was the egg and cheese omelet.
Okay.
Which is weird because eggs are fine in a lot of formats, even like the powdered eggs, the egg beaters, like all that stuff. It's like, how do you fuck up one of the easiest things? And that was just like, it was like this like pale kind of greenish yellow thing. It was like looked and tastes like a dish sponge. And it was just horrible. For some reason, they just could not get that one right. The best ones, which I'm not by any means a vegetarian, but the vegetarian ones tended to be the best tasting because they were usually just like pasta. So it just tasted like Chef Boyardee. You know what I mean?
Right.
Really normal tasting pasta. Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews about MREs in general.
A lot of people seem to trash them and just like, I'm like, I don't know what these people eat, but this stuff's fine. You're not gonna be winning any Michelin stars, but it's just tastes like a canned food. You know what I mean?
I've heard that they first off, they got a few different variations. They've got the military ration with there's like higher calories, and they've got the civilian version with less calories. But above and beyond that, I've heard that they put a constipating agent in MREs.
I've heard that. I don't think that's true because then there's also rumors that they do tend to constipate you, but I think it's just because it's really highly preserved, dried out food. And then there's other rumors that the gum in the MRE is actually a laxative to counteract the naturally constipating effect of the MRE. Right. But I think it's just like I said, there's just like eating dry, high preserved foods, and you're out there doing physical activity, sweating a lot, probably not drinking as much water as you should, and you just get constipated in those settings.
762.
One time I did go through like a week in training where I did shit, and I thought it was gonna like bust out my side and cut through my uniform. It was horrible.
I heard this story about a new trainee that I guess he had a drill sergeant or superior that emphasized you can't break formation no matter what. Do not break formation.
Yeah,
you cannot break formation. So they're doing this running drill, and the guy literally crapped his pants. Like
That's horrible.
shit came down his leg, but he's still marching with the team. There's a gentleman or Mrs. or whatever your preferred pronoun is. 762. What solution works for long-term cooking oil?
Oils and fats are hard to store. The only thing I know of that stores indefinitely without special treatment are like the rendered fats, like ghee. You can pretty much, that's shelf stable. So it's like a rendered butter, basically.
Yeah, I haven't had, I've dehydrated avocados as an experiment, and just even with my protein bars, they all go rancid eventually, and it doesn't taste good.
Can that stuff like oils and fats and like the meats, but not if it's super fatty.
That's a really, really good point. I pressure canned water before, just because so I could have a solution of water that was 100% clean, pure, blah blah blah.
Like sterile water, yeah.
Sterile water in a mason jar. Why couldn't you do that with cooking oil? I wonder if that's even possible.
Well, like we just mentioned, the sardines are usually in olive oil or some sort of vegetable oil.
Right, and that's canned. Yeah. Same thing.
So I don't think it literally has probably quite the shelf life that something like a can of just beans does, because those basically, if the can seal isn't broken and they're canned properly, they can last basically indefinitely, decades at least, but without actually being dangerous. They'll be mushy and gross probably, but they won't be dangerous, and you'll still have some nutritional value.
My long-term solution was looking at growing crops, sunflower, something like that, and I almost got one. It starts with a P. It's from the Netherlands. I think it's called Pitabella, something like that. But it's an oil expeller. It's hand cranked. And you can put a belt on it. Some guy I researched far enough that somebody connected a can opener, one of those manual can openers. Use that motor to connect to this oil expeller, so you can take peanuts or sunflowers and then
or olives or whatever you want,
get oil from it. So I would assume to make it fresh if it ever came down to it. Not quite there yet personally, but I've entertained it and researched it.
So I don't know what would happen if you just canned like oil.
I'm gonna have to research that. That's an excellent option.
Just like straight up a jar of oil and you can it.
Exactly. Why not?
Like I said, if it lasts in the sardines and stuff, I don't see why it wouldn't last by itself.
Yep. Right. Well, for people watching, I mean, when you're looking at canned sardines or anything in a can that's been professionally sealed, it's not much different than a mason jar in which you pressure can something, and basically what you're doing is you're killing all the bacteria inside it. Two things. And then you're creating, the technical term is a hermetic seal, which prevents any air from getting in. And, just a cool, dark place, avoiding sunlight. You should be able to last for a very long time.
Actually, Canadian Prepper, our old buddy, he made a pretty decent video very recently on canning, pressure canning, and stuff like that, and how long stuff really lasts and everything. So I
will have to research that. I'll respond next week. Can you maybe I'll even pressure can some oil?
Yeah, see how it goes. Brian says, looking forward to your review and advice on best shit the fan boots footwear at Eric. Thank you again for the support, and I will I'll make a video on that to be sure. I know we've mentioned a few times, a lot of it's going to be preference. Some people really hate having big hunky, heavy boots. Other people swear by it, so you got to find out what your preference is for that, and then beyond that, go with stuff where the sole is actually sewn on, I would say, definitely, because the glued on soles tend to come apart a lot more easily and are harder to fix too. But whether you want like all leather boot or composite, like a military style jungle boot or whatever, or even more of like a modern hiking or trail running shoe, a lot of that's going to be preference. I tend to not like really stiff around the ankle when I'm hiking and stuff and heavier. But I have a pair of Red Wings that are really great that I wear for work and stuff. Those things will last forever.
Footwear in Canada here is a funny one for me, and I'll just give you my quick 2 cents. Actually, mucklucks are the way to go. Military style mucklucks.
Yeah, if you have to worry about cold or wet weather, then definitely there's some other considerations too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a company called Wiggies, and I don't work for them. And they've got a variety of different types of warm weather gear, mittens, boot inserts. They've got a vest. If anything, I would just get the vest because it covers your core.
Right.
And there's something proprietary about the stitching that this gentleman created. He's a brilliant man, actually, that naturally wicks away moisture from the fabric. And I can attest to it in -40 weather. And,
Nice.
you know, like it's absolutely phenomenal. I don't go anywhere without my Wiggy sleeping bag or my Wiggy foot boot inserts that I've got. Phenomenal gear.
That's awesome. Mark Chase says, what do the large amounts of preservatives in MREs do to your gut flora, etc.? I mean, it probably depends on the person. I've looked at, obviously, if you look at the ingredient list on MREs, it's not that different than what you'd see in modern processed food. So we've got a lot of people are probably ingesting the same preservative stuff on an almost daily basis. It's much more about the way that they're stored than it is about just totally loading them up with preservatives. But obviously, they have some preservatives in them. But I think it's just going to depend on the person, how your body reacts to whatever the ingredients are.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, everybody's had a quarter pounder or a Big Mac. That's the feeling I get with these sort of highly preserved rations. It's in your stomach and it just sits there for a few hours and doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
But that's a good question. I suspect if you've got an active lifestyle, you're eating nutrient dense, rich foods right now, and there's an SHTF situation which you're forced to eat MREs or food that you're not used to with a lot of preservatives, I would suspect your energy level would go down. Your focus, all these sorts of things would impact your survival capacity in some respects. So
yeah, certainly a drastic dietary change of pretty much any kind is going to have some weird impacts for you, even if it's beneficial long run. You know, even if you're eating MREs constantly and then immediately switch to all fresh food and stuff, and which is almost certainly better, you're still going to have an initial adjustment to where you might either be constipated or have some sort of diarrhea, energy levels be up or down or whatever, and who knows. So that's one of the things that you should hopefully try to plan for, is to have that if there is some sort of situation where you need to get into your preps, it is not as drastic as a dietary change, you know, as you want it to be as little of a change as possible if that's doable. For me, like rice is like probably the core element of my food preps, and I eat rice all the time anyway, so that wouldn't be a big change.
You know what's funny? I wanted to ask you too. Like, do you have long, like brown rice, white rice?
Mostly exclusively white rice for storage. That's just what I eat. I prefer it. I actually like basmati rice, which is like the light, thinner, fluffier, almost like Indian style rice. So that's pretty much what I buy to store too, because I know I'll use it eventually anyway.
I'm actually hearing that that's better for your system as opposed to brown rice. It
depends on who you ask, I guess, because I've heard some people say that the brown rice has more beneficial oils and whatnot, where the white rice is just pure, just like a carb basically. But it doesn't store. It stores better, the white rice, because it doesn't have those oils in it, I've also heard. So, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, definitely mixed.
I use mostly basmati rice, and it's a little bit more expensive than just the long grain white rice, but it's still cheap. I mean, it's a 20-pound bag of basmati rice. I think it's like $21 at Walmart, and it has like 30,000 calories in it. So
a food staple. I've got a lot of rice, and that's, you know, for people out there listening, that's a great food to preserve.
Yeah,
it's pretty much universal. Goes with everything. It's a high degree of nutrition and great shelf life. Body X, I can never pronounce this name. Body X Politic. I'm not even sure what the message is there. Body X Politic. Bodybuilder. Okay. Anyways, sir.
I'm not far down enough all the way.
Have either of you heard in your area about food banks being short on food? Yes, I have. But not.
I haven't, but I wouldn't have heard if they were. I'm not really plugged into anything to do with food banks. So, someone else says, do you know anything about processing acorns for human consumption? I haven't done it before. I do know you can eat acorns, and you'd have to find a way to process them, either like hand shucking them, or I don't know if every type of acorn is edible, but I do know that there are at least some that are oak acorns and stuff that are edible, at least partially. The little orange kind of meat in the middle of them. But you have to either like crack them open individually or find some way to smash it up and then separate the shell from the actual meat part.
Yeah, there's definitely a process involved. A friend of mine, his name's Jeremy St. Ong. He actually teaches at local colleges and universities. It was a primitive skills gathering years ago, and went through the process of processing acorns. And from what I recall, one of the bigger issues, you're asking the wrong person. Is it edible? Can you do it? Sure. I think the biggest part is getting rid of the tannins.
Right.
Getting rid of the tannins, so that the tannin taste. After that, though, it's basically like a flour. You can make breads from it, do all sorts of wonderful things.
It probably tastes like bark.
Personally done it. Yeah, probably. Never went through the process, but it's you know what it is. It's one of these aspects of working with wild edibles where it's just this sort of, you know, 6 months from now or 2 years from now, it's not going to be done. Boom, learned everything about wild edibles and that's it. No, it's just this sort of constant evolution of knowledge and skills that you're always attaining with wild edibles, let alone various other aspects of preparedness. So I don't know what the question was specifically about acorns, but
just yeah. Mark Olson says any can with a nice hiss is probably safe. You got to be careful because that can actually be, depending on the type of noise it's making, can actually be a sign that it's compromised and there's gases built up in there from like anaerobic decomp, which you can get botulism and stuff. So normally the cans have like a vacuum in them. So if you open it and you hear like the really quick, like, you know, like a suck in, that's a good sound. But if it's like a slow release of gas, like psst, that's a bad sign because that means that there's some sort of gases buildup in there, which is almost always means they're unsafe. So if you crack a can open and you hear a slow release of air, that's not good. If you hear that really quick, like suck in where you break a vacuum seal, that's meant the seal is good.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a can of ravioli. That sort of
right.
pop sound is what you want to go for. And
right, but if it
says
there's like,
other. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say if it just does like a psst, that's probably bad because that means air is like escaping.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. Usually there's other signs as well. I mean, it's going to smell funny. It's going to taste funny.
Or be dented. Usually, yeah, it has to be physically compromised in some way.
Yeah.
Or like if it's loose, you know, like there's popping already before you've opened it, which wouldn't happen if there's a vacuum inside. So if the lid like moves, it, you know, then it's no good. Save it for the dog or something.
Save it for the dog. Although theoretically, if you heat up anything, if you were to bring up the levels, let's say I don't advise this. I'm not a food expert or not. I've done a shit ton of canning though. I've taught pressure canning. Theoretically, so if you took any sort of compromised dish, we'll just say compromised can of whatever, and you cooked it for a prolonged period of time, you would, in theory, kill all the bacteria that was created, and it would.
Yeah, if you like repasteurize it, it'll still be rotten probably, but you would kill the bacteria. I think though, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I do believe specifically with botulism, the bad part is like a toxin that's created. So even if you kill the bacteria, that could still be present in the food, and it wouldn't be killed. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I do know that the pressure canning process, if not done correctly, you're creating the perfect atmosphere for for botulism to thrive in. So if you don't do it correctly,
yeah, you really got to make sure you kill it.
Like you get online and it's your 500 ml or you get your 1 liter cans of your jars, and then it's okay. So first it's the size of the jar, and then the next question is, what are you pressure canning? So if it's meat or it's green peas or whatever, that's going to determine how long it is. Google search, or you get the Ball. There's a company called Ball Pressure. They've got a pressure canning book that lists everything. You've got multiple items that say it's a stew, right? And you got peas and beef, whatever mixed in. Then you pressure can in accordance with the item that would take the longest.
And I think with compromised food, if you were talking about life or death, sure, go for it. But if you're talking about you have a pantry full of cans and one of them's messed up somehow, I just wouldn't. I personally probably wouldn't mess with it. I'd give it to the dog or something.
Oh yeah,
but
that's right. Absolutely agree. Give it to the dog. You got any memes this week, man?
I have like 2 like half memes, I think.
Let's do it. See what you got.
Let me find it.
We need like some kind of like intro music for the memes.
Like, dun, 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 dun. Like an intro segment, meme segment. Oh, this one isn't actually a meme. It's something that from my real life where I've been getting all these political texts from all these candidates trying to like get you to support their person.
Oh, really?
I'll show you that. Yeah,
like they're sending you messages.
Yeah, I'm literally getting texts. I don't know where they get my number, and they're just like, "Hi, this is somebody from the something campaign." And here, like this one, they said, "I'm Kelsey with Real Nevada. Last special session, Senator Dallas Harris voted to blah 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 blah. Say, can we count on you to vote for Senator Harris's Republican opponent, Joshua Dowden?" So I said, "Does he bench press?" And he says, "We are an independent group, not directly affiliated with his campaign, so I can't tell you what he bench presses." I can't tell you who.
So it's like
so
it's a
it
human.
sounds pretty low. Yeah, so that was actually a human, which I was surprised about. And then the other one I asked them, they said like, do press 1 if you support Biden, 2 if you support Trump or whatever. And I was like, can any of these candidates do 10 pull-ups? And they never answered me. So then the next up we have the political compass, which is pretty good. The political, economic, and authoritarian left says Trump sucks. Economic but authoritarian right says Biden sucks. The left bottom corner just screeching. And then the libertarian or almost anarchist right says, I have your candidate sucks bumper stickers for sale. For both candidates, naturally. And then we have a picture of Trump getting out of the hospital because I'm growing stronger. That's all I really had.
Yeah, I've only got one.
Okay, good.
Maybe. What have I got here? Give me a second, brother. You
no worries.
Always win
I need to do more active meme mining instead of just waiting for them to come across
your feed.
Yeah, I need to do actively search them out at least a couple a week.
I'm almost
you guys are
Facebook
worth
exodus.
it. Yeah, that's the thing is Facebook is where I probably find most of the memes, and I just haven't been on there that much.
Yeah, for sure. I can't. Yeah, I got one.
Because botulism was a big biowarfare agent. Don't know if it's still used. Yeah, the interesting thing about the botulism toxin is they use it for Botox, because that's actually the same toxin, because it paralyzes your muscles basically, which is catastrophic if you ingest it. You stop breathing and whatever else too. But for focused use, that like they inject it into your actual skin and stuff, and it relaxes the muscles in your face and makes you look younger and whatnot. And I believe they use it for other surgical procedures too, where they need to temporarily paralyze muscles or something like that. They can use it for all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty interesting. Interesting stuff.
Nice. Okay, well, I'm gonna save my meme. Yeah, well, you know, why not? Give me a second here. I gotta load this up here.
All right, no worries.
Got your link.
Are you familiar with parboiled rice as compared to white rice? No, I haven't really had much of that. I pretty much just eat dry rice with, well, I don't eat it dry, but I'm saying I just buy the regular rice, put it in a rice cooker, bam, that's it, one button. I've cooked it in the sun oven before, and it came out fantastic, like absolutely perfect. And since it's uniformly heated, it's not from like a heating element on the bottom of the container, that you didn't get that like little dry, crusty layer of slightly overcooked. It was just all perfectly evenly cooked, and it's fantastic. So definitely looking forward to having nice, super well cooked rice in the apocalypse, or that actually improve the level of rice that I'm cooking. The only reason I really don't do it every day that way is just because of the time. You know, you have to set it up and you have to do it the right time of day.
Here we go. Weird feedback. I don't understand why that happens either.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm not a tech guy.
It just happens. And then my thing's on mute and everything. This was kind of funny. So it's like, don't fear the virus, and Trump is there, and you can see he's all wired up. What was funny about it though is some of the people I have on my Facebook were pissed. I'm like, okay, whatever, man. don't know if you can see that at the bottom. Some dude's like, yeah, whatever. You know,
That's funny. Fear makes you, yeah, whatever, dude.
People tend to get pretty political. This one actually doesn't have anything to do with.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, the hot crazy chart.
The hot crazy chart. Yeah, which is it's oddly accurate in my opinion. Which is
yeah, it is.
So it starts with a baseline of 4 for crazy for woman. That's all this is about woman.
Right, you have craziness on the vertical axis and hotness on the horizontal axis.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the fun zone, marriage material, date her. And if you've got I guess it's not crazy, under 4.
If they're that hot, but they're not crazy at all, then they have to really be a man, is the point.
Yeah.
Because you notice it too, that this starts at a 4, because no woman is less than at least a 4 on the crazy scale anyway.
Exactly. And the red star at the top, super hot, above a 5, hot to a 10, with a crazy level starting at 5 to 10. Hairdressers, redheads, girls, Tiffany. The red star, I think that's probably where Evil Blonde is, somewhere up there.
Yeah, exactly, somewhere in that zone.
Called the danger zone, as they say.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's a great video on that, actually.
Yeah, where the guy goes over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, anyways, Trifecta, episode number, how many episodes have we been in?
So I have no idea, honestly. That's a good question. Probably quite a few at this point.
Probably quite a few. I think we're probably going to wrap it up pretty soon here, shortly. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions, please ask away.
Questions?
Your number one fan here was Brian Hickenbottom.
I appreciate
Try
the support,
Creole,
sir.
red beans, and rice during the apocalypse. Okay, red beans.
Yeah, I like
One
those.
place I think is really underrated. I don't know if you have this out there or not. You do in Utah for sure. Is the LDS, the cannery we have here. There's one in Toronto. Any Canadians or anybody from Ontario, definitely go to the cannery. Just Google LDS Cannery Toronto. They're open every Saturday. It's canned goods. You can get number 10 cans.
Yeah, they do have one here in Vegas. I haven't researched it a while back, but I haven't been actually gone over there yet. But there is one here because I was just checking into it, and then of course everything shut down for a while. But
what's beautiful about it? Have you had any of their? Do you have any other goods? You tried anything?
No, I never have. I've always just packaged myself for long-term storage for dry goods, and then just
phenomenal. Prices are amazing.
They definitely know what they're doing, obviously.
Yeah. I think they're behind the company Thrive. I'm not too sure if you've
got I've heard of Thrive. There. So that's LDS group.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's a LDS connection because most of their foods are in-house. They really came onto the market in the last few years, and it's sort of an Avon style way of connecting or promoting people. So you sign up, you got to buy $50 every month, and then through affiliates, you get a little cut for people that buy underneath your umbrella. I actually know the number one person in Canada for Thrive, represented up here. She wins like cruise ship vacations and things like that because she has so many sales. So it's similar to the LDS with respect to, as opposed to buying like a number 10 can of mac and beef freeze-dried food, it's more just one ingredient staples like apple slices or onions or carrots. Or beans or oatmeal. I eat the oatmeal like every day. I literally made some earlier tonight. But yeah, I would highly recommend the LDS. William McCaslin says LDS is the bomb. Mark Olson, are the aliens done with JJ yet? I don't know what's up with JJ. Maybe that was his exodus. It's just like, well, I'm busy, I'm moving, and then maybe he's got no interest in connecting or doing this. I
think he'll be back. He seems like he's been keeping pretty busy, I think, from what I can tell. So
yeah, he changed the name of his channel.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, well, he had said on, I think, one of our last live streams that his channel was going to be for more gear reviews, and then the actual prepping content would be on Patreon. That's how he's kind of for the American Prepping Academy or whatever that he called it. I can't remember.
And good for him. So, good for him because a guy like JJ with his background and his experience, doing a review of a tool just like yourself.
It'll be more meaningful than some rando.
Right. As opposed to some dude with a camera.
Yeah, who hasn't ever really used it. They just opened it 5 seconds ago or something.
And has no no reason reviewing it to begin with because they don't have any sort of experience.
Right. So they can't say whether it would be good or bad to begin with. So it's cool. And that avoids, worrying about getting demonetized for trying to cover touchy subjects on the YouTube channel and everything like that. You can do it on the Patreon. But Evil Blonde said she's so far off that scale. I don't know which direction she's talking about. The hotness or the craziness.
He's modest. I'm not that good looking.
Yeah, right. I'm nowhere really near that far. Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely crazy, but not
definitely, yeah. Did JJ tell you he'd call you tomorrow's crickets? Tomorrow, crickets. Right. Okay. I got to read this stuff before I just read it out.
Yeah, he has been busy putting out content. That's what I mean. So he's still been doing stuff. So
yeah, no, and good for him, as he should. And I know he's got a new homestead that he's.
Yeah, and I can definitely attest to the fact that it's harder to make a specific time than it is to just do these things when you have time. I almost didn't make it tonight. I had emailed Shay and them, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it." And I was like, "Nope, psych, I did make it." Got back just in time. So if you can squeeze it in whenever you want, it's easier to make some. Why does this macho guy keep telling me to say a specific word? I don't know why.
Okay, I missed that, but oh yeah, they're in their own role here. I'm looking for questions. I can't find anything. Everybody's having their own discussion, which is fine. Next week, let's have. Well, maybe we'll try and have Dean back. I do have somebody that is a part of the 3%ers up here in Canada, which is to remain anonymous. So I might get him in. It's nice just to shoot the shit with Eric here, but I think we've definitely got to bounce some stuff off of guests on a regular basis.
For sure.
So
people in different fields and whatnot too.
Yeah, I'm ready to call it, or at least in the next few minutes, anyways.
Me too. I got to get going. But thanks everybody for watching. That's awesome, Jack Walsh. Glad to hear that, man. He said the RTW code saved about $300 on his vest from Safe Life Defense. So that's awesome. I'll cover John Bibb. I have another channel actually I haven't been very active on lately where I go over random side hustle stuff selling on eBay and Amazon. So you can check that out. It should be on the sidebar of my main channel. So check those out, and I'll be making more content over there at some point soon. But yeah, thanks everybody for stopping in. Should be here next week as well. Check out Shay's channel as well, Prepper Logic. And thanks for swinging by. And remember to get the Rule the Wasteland Survival Fishing Kit, which we hit rank of 51,000 on Amazon recently, so it's going down.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
We should go through like that kit next week. Go through the different items in it. I'm quite the avid. That would be cool. That'd be cool because I'm quite the avid fisherman. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, Eric. Nice to see you.
You too, man. As always, everyone.
Talk to everybody next week. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys. Adios.